Will Ukraine continue to be trapped in battle without extra weapon support in 2025? The war in Ukraine has been ongoing for years, with an endless drama. Each year brings a new story, from delays in the shipment of Western aid packages to Ukraine, to the excessive glorification of the Western weapons sent to the battlefield. Allegations arise one by one, such as the issue of weapon logistics supplies to Russia from certain countries. And even Donald Trump, offering his own peace proposal, attempts to mediate the chaos with a controversial approach.
I'm not making an opinion on it, but I've read a lot on it, and a lot of people think that that's unlikely. Some of that land will come back.
However, there is one event that may be even more shocking: Ukraine being excluded from peace negotiations after Zelensky losing his legitimate status as president. Amid this diplomatic stalemate, negotiations seem to have become nothing more than a tool for the media to stir up the issue without any real solutions.
A half-baked negotiator could have settled this.
But what draws the most attention is the worsening situation on the ground. Stocks in Ukraine are already running low, eroded by a series of explosions, fires, and massive destruction of Western and Ukrainian assets. Like the recent events over the course of 3 consecutive days, Russia launched devastating attacks with small arms that have proven to be incredibly deadly, destroying any remaining hope for recovery. If peace remains out of reach, is it time for Ukraine to accept support in a different form, perhaps a new supplement that could change the course of this conflict? Or, if not a supplement, are there other approaches that could be taken to end this? Before answering that question, let's list what has been taken from Ukraine by Russian forces over the past few days. The Russian Ministry of Defense recently reported a series of events that shook Ukraine's defense lines in the last 3 days, demonstrating how serious the threat from Russian forces is. Using FPV technology from the Vostok Forces Group, relentless attacks destroyed Ukrainian military hardware deep within their positions in the southern Donetsk direction. This coordinated assault was carried out so efficiently that 5 armored combat vehicles, 12 field artillery pieces, 15 motor vehicles, and more than 10 mortar positions were destroyed in a very short time. This event served as a harsh wake-up call for Ukraine, which has seemed to underestimate the seriousness and rapidly evolving battlefield. However, the attacks didn't just occur in Donetsk. In the Kharkiv region, Russian forces increasingly displayed their combat technology prowess. Drone operators from the Zapad group of forces, part of the 1st Guards Tank Army, along with FPV unmanned aerial vehicles, successfully destroyed 3 M113 armored vehicles used by Ukrainian forces. In circulating footage, a massive explosion can be heard as the vehicle's ammunition detonates, followed by intense gunfire from Russian forces. The armored vehicles that Ukraine had relied on seemed unable to withstand this advanced assault, failing to protect themselves from the swift and deadly threat. What is really happening with Ukraine's military strategy? Amidst the technological power and sophistication used by Russian forces, it seems that Ukraine is starting to struggle to maintain its claim of superiority in Western weaponry. FPV drone operators in the same region, Kharkiv, also launched attacks targeting 2 Western-made armored personnel carriers that were using hangars, and these attacks were successful in destroying the vehicles. The effectiveness of these strikes is not only seen in the huge explosions, but also in the careful hunting tactics in the Forest Belt region. The drones moved agilely, navigating the forest with precision, eventually finding and destroying Ukrainian tanks detected in the risky area. Several incidents have been reported, showing that Ukraine is lacking in developing more adaptive strategies. But if they don't want to keep getting stuck in costly battles, they need to think harder. Camouflaged vehicles alone are not enough to provide a strong defense for Ukrainian forces on the battlefield. The Russian forces, using FPV drones, have been intercepting and destroying any threats in their path. This was evident in the Pokrovsk direction, where the Rubicon Center's FPV drone team launched a deep strike on armored vehicles used by Ukrainian troops. swiftly dismantling their defenses. Meanwhile, in the Kursk border region, FPV drones from the 11th Airborne Brigade succeeded in destroying the weapons and hardware that were supposed to be Ukraine's main assets. All of it was burned to ashes in a terrifying inferno. Even the infantry fighting vehicles used by Ukrainian forces in Donetsk were not spared from the FPV drone's wrath, guided by the Joint Guard Force 20 team from the Zapad group. This battle leaves no room for error, and any failure comes at a high cost. Now, if we calculate it, how much more equipment and resources need to be sent to Ukraine to defend its territory? This is becoming a bitter reality for the contributing countries. The failure of weapons and equipment, which sometimes do not function as expected, is not something that can be repeated. So, what can Ukraine offer in return to the Western countries that have sent aid? This question requires a deeper answer and a longer story. In the writings of Daniel F. Runde and Elizabeth Hoffman at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, they reveal an important perspective on international aid. Loans, according to them, are now a more viable option for the public to consider, rather than grants that often fail to provide long-term impact and frequently end up being wasted. Although the intention behind the grants is good, they ultimately add to the burden on donor countries, which risk running out of resources. Looking ahead, there is still a lot of uncertainty surrounding the future of aid to Ukraine. Are Western countries starting to tire? Leave your thoughts, and thanks for watching.